Ben Kane, here we are in your studio. I believe your passion to be in sound engineering. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, engineering music, really making music and music recordings uh, is my passion. From production to engineering, just making albums that people can listen to is
And you
one of my
recently
main
had
passions. Yeah.
you recently had a small accomplishment. I mean, it was just a Grammy. Can you tell everybody what that Grammy was for?
Yeah, I won the album I worked on for D'Angelo's album Black Messiah, won Best R&B Album at the Grammys. So, yeah, I won a Grammy as part of that.
Now, if I remember correctly, too, that was not a quick process. That album, it's something that occurred over time, right?
It was a decade, about a decade off and on of my life. So it was definitely a long process getting from the start of we're working on an album, thinking it was going to come out along the way, and finally getting, just having it released was like enough. And then winning an award for it was even more over the top. So, yeah.
Well, the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, you know, that says so much about you that you can stick with something you obviously had some belief in for such a long period of time to see it through to the end and then to get an accomplishment. I can only imagine how that felt for you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believed in it. I couldn't have possibly gone through all that time, and there's a lot of sacrifices with working on an album for that long and moving cities along with the artist. I couldn't have done that unless I really believed in the music that we were working on, and yeah, just stuck with it through quite a bit. Yeah.
Where did this passion start? Because how does somebody know? Like, I used to teach high school,
hmm
so I know there's a lot of kids who have different interests. But how did you know this one was for you?
I guess it started. I mean, I've been a musician my whole life since I was a little kid playing piano, and I so I always had the passion for music. Somewhere along the way, I got a little four track tape recorder, and I started to record my own songs and for different school projects and just little things for bands I had along the way. Started recording that, and I loved doing that. And I didn't really. It's weird because I was doing that. I was doing engineering, and then by the time I was in high school, I had a computer program, and I'm recording my songs onto the computer. And then even I went to college for music technology, but I didn't really understand that there was an art of engineering, that it was more than just capturing these things and like this is what you do to make an album. I didn't really understand. So that's where it started for me, but I didn't really understand there was an art to it, which is really what kept me in it until I started interning and met an engineer named Russ Elevato who had a really artistic approach, who I still work with, a great friend of mine, but he really took it as an art, like the same way, when I was approaching playing piano or I approached music, that the actual creation of recorded music could be an art just as much, and that's when I really kind of clicked that this is something I wanted to stick with, I think.
That's exactly why I wanted to speak with you today, because I really believe that your perspective on this field, it can click something for somebody else. That's exactly it. Because as somebody who used to mentor high school students, and this is a global audience, and majority of my listeners are adults, but those adults have kids, and we're always trying to guide our kids. But how many of us really know about what your field is up to? But so many kids are techie today. So
Mm-hmm.
many kids love music or play instruments or in bands. But there's
Yeah.
so many different things that you can do with it and live a life that you freaking love, right? So what kind of challenges have you had that you've had to kind of overcome?
I mean, there's been a lot of challenges from, it's kind of a career where you start really at the bottom, and for some careers at the bottom is like doing desk work. For me, starting at the bottom as an intern at a recording studio was cleaning toilets and scrubbing floors, and I did that for, over a year and a half before I had any paycheck, and I was working like 80 hours a week, and finally they said, okay, you're going to be a staff member. We'll pay you $250 every 2 weeks for these 80 hours, I'm spending a week.
That's insane.
It's insane, and I was happy about it, which is equally insane.
That's how you know it's a passion, right? That you're just loving that you can be in that building, and that you're surrounded with those things and those people.
Exactly.
Like you probably felt honored to be a part of this.
Yeah, well, it was a special place too. It was a studio called Electric Lady Studios, which was Jimi Hendrix's studio, and I really, I think what kept me going through it and what kept them wanting me on the staff was that to a certain degree I felt like it was like an honor to even clean the bathroom. Like these musicians that come in, to see Jimi Hendrix's, creative house should see it in this great way. And that's, I feel like having that kind of attention to detail and all of that was important. But yeah. So that was one kind of set of sacrifices. I forget exactly how you phrased the question.
The challenges that you've had to overcome. But I just have to say before you continue there, is the connection between how long you were able and wanted to like put your time in and earn your stripes. It's like that is the same perseverance and personality it takes to stick to an album for 10 years, to see that to the end. Like, where do you think you got that? Have you always been that way, or is it just this industry that brings it out in you?
I think I've always been, I kind of have a personality where if it's always like, if it's something I didn't really want to do, it was really hard to make me do it. But if it was something that I wanted to do and loved doing, like I would just do anything to see it through. So definitely kind of in my personality, I think, to some extent. And, and a lot of people kind of going through that studio internship, apprenticeship course of it's not a course, but kind of going on that path is a better word. When you're an intern, there's assistant engineers, or there's general assistants, and then when you're there's assistant engineers above you. So there's this whole kind of hierarchy. And I think I was fortunate enough that I had some really good people above me who would kind of instill this kind of like tough love dynamic, where it was like sometimes it would be, okay, I've been here 12 hours, it's 11 at night, I'm ready to go. And they're like, well, the mix isn't over. You should, if you want to, like, if you're trying to prove yourself, you should stay in there, as late until it's over, as late as you can, or, just, saying you didn't clean well enough, or how can you do this? This person won 5 Grammys, like, treat them, they're paying all this money to be here, so just having some people that kind of instilled how important little things were, and kind of sticking through the whole process I think helped me as well.
I feel a little emotional though right now thinking about, they're saying, hey, this person won 5 Grammys, you should be doing this, which of course they're dead on, and I love that, but now you just won a Grammy. And it's like, that kid just won a Grammy. How's that feel? See yourself going in that trajectory, hopefully. I mean, I assume that's your intention. I
mean, it feels great, I mean, the part of what they said that I take away from that now is even when people come to my studio and they haven't won a Grammy, I treat them like the people who have. And I think that's something that that people that I work with kind of influences their music positively as well. They go into the recording booth and there's just an atmosphere already that, like, okay, this is something important and this is not just get in there and sing or whatever.
Because
And,
that
yeah.
respect is giving them confidence.
Yeah,
They feel like you believe in what they're doing.
yeah.
That's a gift that you're giving them.
And I do, and these are people I do believe in. So I guess my answer is there's, it's great to have the Grammy, and some of the best musicians I've had the pleasure to work with in my life haven't won a Grammy and may never win one. But, so two sides to it. And I think, I try to, whether people have won or not, I think, I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's important.
Well, I think
Yeah.
what I'm taking away from where you're going with that is whether people win the award or not, respecting people and their desire to produce something that they're proud of means a lot to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you always know that you had what it took to stick with something so wholeheartedly? Because so many people, let's say writing, for example, oh, I have a novel I want to write, but they never do it. And even if
Yeah.
they start it, they don't finish it. And even
Yeah.
if they work on it for a year, they don't hang in there for the time it takes 2 or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. They just don't.
Yeah. I mean, did I know that about myself? No, but also I never thought it would be that long either. So it was something where at many points in the process it was like, can I still do this? Yeah, okay. We're going to do one more 6-month period in the studio. Okay, I can get through that. And
But like
just
like
kinda
you said, though,
slowly,
you relocated.
Yeah, a few times. So, I didn't know, but it was something I believed in so much that by that point I knew that I was going to get through to the end. I knew that if the album was to come out and I wasn't a part of it, I would have regretted that.
It would drive you crazy.
Yeah. But, more than that, it was just, I really believed in it, and, you I guess, learn as you go that, okay, you can keep going further and further.
What was that creative process like?
It's a unique process in that you're not starting one song and working on that song till it's finished, and then starting another song. And also, there's not a lot of boundaries. Obviously, time wasn't a boundary. I worked on another album recently with this artist named Crystal Warren, and we had 2 weeks. It was actually in Paris where she lives, and we had 2 weeks, and we were going to try to finish the songs in order and complete the entire song. So we went in there, and a day later we have a song that we can listen to and love. I would still come back here and mix it, but as far as the recording, everything was done in that day, and you move on. And that's like the opposite experience, and that's also rewarding in a different way, in that you can it's nice to start and finish something. Like, what else does it need? Anything we're hearing, we're gonna do it right now. So
when
it's a nice
somebody
process.
when somebody brings you in to work on their project,
Mm-hmm.
what is it they're looking for?
Yeah, so I wear a few hats, but as a recording engineer, they bring me in and they know that I'm going to capture great sounds and bring an aesthetic. I think people work with me because they know I understand their music, and I'm going to bring an aesthetic as far as the sounds that I'm capturing that complements their songwriting and their music to bring out that in the best way it can come out, or in, in my way, whatever that is. And so that's part of one hat I wear. And then mixing their project, at that point we have the recording, and I'm taking this recording and bringing what I hear and what feeling I think the music needs to kind of give it the right feeling and the right aesthetic as far as the individual pieces, but to make it kind of work as a piece and a song that can exist, and people can listen to it and get the feeling that was intended from it. So,
and it's amazing too how when you're listening to certain songs, just even one note can evoke so much emotion, like stop you in your tracks. I have a lot of respect for that. What kind of advice could you give people who want to pursue a passion, of no matter what their passion is? What would your general advice be on that?
Well, be willing to spend the time to learn more about that passion, and to kind of immerse yourself in that passion. I think, it's funny because we've been talking about all the time I've spent on various things, but I think right now a lot of people who are passionate, maybe it's just a difference in how some people are now versus when I was, first pursuing my passion. But they kind of expect to get to the finish line right away, or expect to kind of feel the reward of it right away. And I think you should always feel good about it if it's really your passion, but just being able to put in the time to master what you're doing, and you never really master it, but to get to a point where you feel good about what you're doing, I think is important to give yourself that time. The best musicians I know who just have accolades beyond what people even strive for in their life, and are considered the best of that instrument in the world by many. Those people will spend hours practicing. They'll be will be on tour and they're in a hotel room practicing the bass or whatever. And just if it's really your passion, bringing all of yourself to it, and making sure you keep growing in that constantly. And that's a lot, but yeah.
And being patient.
Yeah,
too,
and
right?
being patient, definitely, yeah.
Do you think that your patience, like the fact that you were able and wanted to wait it out in positions where you were like, this is probably, I'm thinking you're thinking at that time, this is not what I came here to do, like, but I'm still so happy to be here and doing this. But do you think that time helped you mature? And do you think that during that time you had experiences that impacted or influenced you and your abilities for when it was your time?
Definitely. I try to make sure I'm learning with everything that I'm doing, and it was 10 years working on an album, but on the other hand, I'm working with a musical genius who's one of the greatest musicians that I could possibly be in the same room with. So just absorbing that for all that time, regardless of, it's not like someone was do this to be a better engineer, do that. I had a lot of time to experiment, which was another kind of fortunate aspect of it with my own craft. But just as far as music, being able to absorb that from someone over a lot of time, I think is a great gift and really important.
Ben,
Yeah.
do you have a website? Do you have a website or some way or people can check out what you do?
I have a very simple website called Kane, Kane, vibrations.com. And my new studio has a website called electricgarden.com. So yeah, those are the best ways to look into what I'm doing.
I'm so happy for you, and I just love talking to you and hearing your passion about what you're into. And I just think that all of the information you had to share is so insightful for people, because I know I don't know about this, and I actually have some younger musicians in my family who are coming up, and I know they're going to love hearing what you have to say. So thank you so much for meeting with us today.
Right. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, being our final interview here on our
Great.
50 State Tour.
It's an honor.
It's been awesome. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And I talk to you, and I talk to you, and I talk